Part 57. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 561. Xiao Yuer, is she still in contact with you? After Li Yuan asked, he stared directly at Zhang Ruoxiu, with the thought constantly echoing in his mind. There must be, there must be. Zhang Ruoxiu looked deeply at Li Yuan and did not answer directly. Instead, she asked Li Yuan a question. Li Yuan, are you willing to give up other girlfriends for her? Li Yuan looked stunned and wanted to say something, but couldn't give an answer. Let him give up Xiao's Haijin, Zhongtingyu, and Bai Wuxi for Xiao Yuer. Is this possible? Impossible. Zhang Ruoxiu knew Li Yuan's answer when she saw his expression. She immediately glared at Li Yuan with disdain and sneered. Bah, you scumbag. Li Yuan looked a little worried, but he had no right to be angry when facing this little girl. Li Yuan took a deep breath to calm down, stared into Zhang Ruoxiu's eyes with a very serious expression, and spoke again. She left in a hurry. Since then, I have lost contact with her. I just wanted to see her one last time and say sorry to her. If you know her contact information, please tell me. I would be very grateful. Hearing Li Yuan's sincere words, Zhang Ruoxiu was a little surprised. She had already ridiculed Li Yuan in this way, but the other party was not angry and could still ask about Xiao Yuer's situation with this attitude. Could it be said that he really still has Xiao Yuer in his heart? As soon as the idea was born, she quickly killed it. The man in front of him is an out-and-out scumbag, and this is recognized by the whole world. No matter how talented or wealthy he is still a scumbag. Just let me reveal your true face as a scumbag. Will you be so angry? Zhang Ruoxiu glanced at Li Yuan and wanted to continue to anger Li Yuan. Humph, even if I have it, why should I tell you? How rich are you? You are a big star. Or why? You answer me. Li Yuan was really angry. He sincerely wanted to ask about Xiao Yuer's situation and what his attitude was. If he didn't want to talk about it, just forget it. Li Yuan suppressed the anger in his heart and looked at Zhang Ruoxiu calmly and solemnly. No reason, I just want to see her again and give her an apology. Zhang Ruoxiu met Li Yuan's gaze, her body trembled suddenly, and she shuddered, and the anger in her heart also dissipated a little. She just stared at Li Yuan, her four eyes facing each other. Li Yuan was also unwilling to be outdone and looked at him with calm eyes. In the crowd, the two girls who were eating melon saw the scene of Li Yuan and Zhang Ruoxiu looking at each other and the changes in their expressions, and a big drama appeared in their minds. Liang Jingjing pursed her lips and snickered, and joked, "See you, let me just say, there must be a story between Li Yuan and this girl. It seems that there is a conflict. Do you want to come forward?" Qi Siyu just looked at Li Yuan and Zhang Ruoxiu quietly and shook her head slightly. I'm going out at this time. It's not appropriate. Let's just wait here for Li Yuan. It's boring. Liang Jingjing curled her lips, she really wanted to know what would happen if Qi Siyu suddenly stood up, came to Li Yuan, and stood in front of the girl. It's a pity that she is not Li Yuan's girlfriend and does not have the qualifications. Otherwise, she would definitely have stepped forward. Li Yuan didn't notice that Qi Siyu and Liang Jingjing were on the side. All his attention was focused on Zhang Ruoxiu. Seeing Zhang Ruoxiu didn't answer, Li Yuan sighed quietly, lowered his head, turned around, and prepared to leave. He was not sure whether Zhang Ruoxiu knew about Xiao Yuer's situation, but judging from her reaction, there was a high probability that she did. He had asked Xieping, another roommate of Xiao Yuer, about Xiao Yuer before. Xieping's answer was very cold and simple. 3 words, I don't know. Sorry to bother you. Li Yuan looked very disappointed and prepared to leave. Seeing Li Yuan leave, Zhang Ruoxiu, who was standing there, suddenly felt a little blocked in her heart, and some words seemed to be stuck in her throat, which made her very uncomfortable. Does she know Xiao Yu's situation? I didn't know it at first, but later I knew it. After all, they and Xiao Yu were roommates in the same dormitory. The relationship is very good. When Xiao Yu suddenly left, they couldn't contact each other. But more than a month later, Xiao Yu suddenly sent them a message, briefly talking about her current situation. Li Yuan asked Xie Ping for Xiao Yu's contact information. Several people in their dormitory also knew about it and were all present at the time. They also saw with their own eyes how Xie Ping responded. Later, Li Yuan asked several times, and they all gave the same answer, or even ignored him directly. Later, they no longer received messages from Li Yuan, but instead saw various news about Li Yuan on TV and the internet. What about the Chayan USA milk tea shop, Jihu.com, the selection of milk tea sisters, the release of the Honor of Kings game, etc.? They were still complaining in the dormitory that Li Yuan was a hypocritical and out-and-out scumbag. Unexpectedly, I would meet Li Yuan on this occasion tonight. Looking at Li Yuan's back that looked very lonely as he turned to leave, and thinking about how he had just been so angry with him, Zhang Ruoxiu sighed in her heart and shouted at Li Yuan's back. You really want to know? Li Yuan walked very slowly and was in a bad mood. After suddenly hearing Zhang Ruoxiu's words, he immediately turned around, walked back quickly, came to Zhang Ruoxiu, and stared at her. I want it very much, can you tell me? Seeing Li Yuan's excited look, Zhang Ruoxiu's anger that had existed for several months gradually dissipated. Jia Yu is in the Chinese department of Yenching University, and his current mobile phone number is 18,356. When Li Yuan heard Zhang Ruoxiu's answer, he felt happy. He quickly took out his mobile phone and saved the number. He was afraid that he would forget it. When Zhang Ruoxiu saw Li Yuan take out his mobile phone, she thought he was going to make a call now, so she quickly said, "Don't hit me now, and don't say I told you." Li Yuan entered the information, looked deeply at Zhang Ruoxiu, and nodded solemnly. "Ruoxiu, thank you, I owe you a favor." Zhang Ruoxiu secretly breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Li Yuan didn't fight. Although Zhang Ziyu didn't specifically tell Li Yuan not to tell her contact information, she didn't want to ruin the situation. "Humph, Li Yuan, as a stranger, let me remind you again. Since you can't give her the love she wants, then let her go, don't bother her anymore, and if you both are well, it will be a sunny day. If you continue to be your big star and accompany your girlfriends every day to travel around and have fun, the little girl will slowly forget about you, welcome her true love, and start a new life. That's all I have to say, whether you want to hear it or not. We will meet again later." After Zhang Ruoxiu finished speaking, she turned around, returned to her desk, put away her computer, and prepared to leave. Li Yuan sighed quietly in his heart. What Zhang Ruoxiu said made sense. Since she couldn't give Xiao Yu what she wanted, the unique love, then it was better to let go and live in peace. However, he really couldn't forget this angelic elf girl. I can't forget that since her rebirth, when she first wrote a book and had no achievements, she kept giving herself rewards, became a group manager, and chatted with herself every day. I can't forget that when the university just started, she was riding in a Rolls-Royce, wearing a horse-faced skirt, and holding flowers in her hands. When she came to Daxia University, when they met for the first time, she hugged her arms and shouted shyly the scene with brother Xiahua. I can't forget the gift she gave me, a Lamborghini sports car worth tens of millions, which directly fulfilled my dream. What's more, I can't forget the scene where the two of them were singing by themselves on the lawn of Jida campus, and she was playing music with her guitar in her arms, teaching herself how to play the guitar and how to compose music. I can't forget the scene where she sang Confession Balloon on the whole school stage and openly expressed her love to herself. The most unforgettable thing is that night. Even though I knew how many boats I was stepping on, I still chose to break through all the constraints with myself and complete the most intimate relationship, but it was also the final farewell. That night was a farewell, never to be seen again. Li Yuan just stood there blankly, watching Zhang Ruoxiu, carrying a guitar bag, computer, and stereo, slowly disappearing into the night. After Zhang Ruoxiu left. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 562. Qi Siyu and Liang Jingjing suddenly appeared in front of Li Yuan, staring at him with 4 eyes. The two of them were not stupid, they both saw that Li Yuan's mood at this time was a little not right, as if he suddenly lost his soul. He stood there in a daze, motionless. The two girls looked at each other, but Liang Jingjing was the braver one, coughing, breaking the silence of the night. Ahem, Li Yuan, are you feeling better? Li Yuan finally came back to his senses and looked at Qi Siyu and Qi Siyu, who were full of strange expressions, with blank expressions. Oh, I'm fine, I was distracted. After hearing this, Qi Siyu didn't say anything. She just leaned quietly next to Li Yuan, stretched out her warm little hand, grabbed Li Yuan's cold big hand, put it in the palm of her own hand, and covered him. Feeling the warmth of Qi Siyu's little hand, Li Yuan smiled and held Qi Siyu in his arms. I'm fine, it's getting late, let's go home. Chapter 323 Li Yuan's Awakening. Qi Siyu and Liang Jingjing looked at each other and had a common idea in their hearts. Something is wrong with Li Yuan at this time, and there must be a story. The distance between the two was not very far, and it could be vaguely heard that Li Yuan seemed to have had some quarrel with the girl. No, to be more precise, it should be the girl who taught Li Yuan one-sidedly. You can see it from the girl's tone and expression. This made the two of them very confused. Would any girl really dare to speak like this to Li Yuan? Even if she was Li Yuan's girlfriend, she wouldn't necessarily reprimand Li Yuan like this, right? Unless there are special circumstances. Although they were very confused, Qi Siyu and Liang Jingjing were very sensible and did not ask any more questions. At this time, Li Yuan was obviously in a bad mood, so there was no need to challenge his nerves. The two skillfully changed the subject. Liang Jingjing smiled and joked, "Great talent Li, have you written any new songs recently?" Li Yuan shook his head, "No, I've been very busy recently." Liang Jingjing stared at Li Yuan eagerly as if she was joking. "Handsome guy, when will I write a song for you, Sister Jing?" Sister Jing will give you her life. Although Liang Jingjing does not teach music, she likes music just like Qi Siyu. After knowing that Li Yuan had written songs for Zhong Tingyu, Xiao's Haijin, Bai Wuxi, and his best friends, he was also very hopeful that Li Yuan could write a song for himself. Li Yuan burst out laughing when he saw Liang Jingjing's expectant look. He really wanted to ask, "Why should I write songs for you?" However, saying this would seem too arrogant and inhumane. There was no need for it, so I just replied casually. "Wait until you have time later, I haven't been inspired lately." Liang Jingjing was overjoyed when she saw that Li Yuan did not reject her directly. He, okay, when you have inspiration, don't forget me." Li Yuan smiled non-committally. After returning to the room in the community, Li Yuan watched the two girls taking a shower, while he took out his mobile phone and looked at the news about Xiao Yu he got from Zhang Ruoxiu. He impulsively wanted to call the number in the imperial capital several times, but he didn't have the courage. He was very afraid that once he dialed this number, he might never find her again. What's more, even if it is dialed out now, what can be said? What he wanted in his heart was to see her in person. Even if he separated, he would have to say a formal farewell. At this moment, Li Yuan couldn't wait to go to the imperial capital to see the person he missed day and night. Thinking about the school where Xiao Yu was currently at, Li Yuan was very confused. Chinese Department of Taito University, Has she given up music? Xiao Yu likes music very much. When he was at Jida, he was the president of the music club. He also majored in music and was very proficient in various musical instruments, composition, etc. Not to mention her singing voice. Even if she is reborn and blessed with talent, her singing voice is not as good as hers. At the Jida New Year party, the song Confession Balloon really made him feel amazing, including the two-person sung No Makeup, which was also very well matched. Li Yuan hesitated in his heart, whether he should leave immediately tomorrow and go to the imperial capital to see her. However, there was another voice in my heart, persuading myself. At this time, the university has not officially started yet, so Xiao Yu is definitely not at school, and we can't find her. We'd better wait until school starts to find her again. But, I really want to see her now. What should I do? Will Zhang Ruoxiu tell Xiao Yu what happened tonight? Li Yuan was hesitant in his heart. In other aspects, such as business decisions, even if it involves hundreds of millions of funds, such as hundreds of millions of funds invested in the stock market, all the stocks of the fruit company were purchased without any hesitation. However, when facing his own emotional problems, he is very hesitant and not decisive enough at all. If I can't see her in the imperial capital at this time, or if she doesn't want to see me and transfers to another school, I may never have this opportunity again. Forget it, let's wait until she starts school. I hope I can see her again and say a formal goodbye. Night. After Li Yuan finished washing, he returned to the bedroom and looked at Qi Siyu sitting by the bed, wearing a silk nightgown, shy and timid, looking familiar. The impulse in my heart was aroused again. Li Yuan's heart moved and he deliberately made a joke. Teacher Qi, why are you looking at me so lustfully? Qi Siyu's eyes flickered. She rolled her eyes at Li Yuan and hummed, it's not because of some big pervert. Li Yuan smiled and said, Teacher Qi, you have wronged me. I am not perverted at all. Qi Siyu pursed her lips and snickered, you said this, do you believe it? Believe it, you must believe it, Li Yuan said seriously. Qi Siyu snorted, glared at Li Yuan with an angry look, suddenly stretched out her hand, and unbuttoned her sleeping robe one by one. What about this? Seeing the sexy lady's movements, Li Yuan's eyes lit up and he almost spit out nosebleeds. He involuntarily moved his throat and made a swallowing motion. In fact, the scene in front of me was so blood-curdling. The bear de Xiong Er raised by Qi Siyu's family is very well fed and very nutritious. This pair of Xiong sisters were particularly full of chaos, crystal clear, like white jade and glass. Even better. Tonight. The sexy imperial sister instructor in front of me actually dressed up a little extra and put on QQ underwear. Li Yuan swallowed his saliva and was about to speak when he saw Qi Siyu looking shy, her nightgown wide open, walking in lotus steps, step by step, each step stepped on Li Yuan's heart. Make his heart beat fast. Qi Siyu came to Li Yuan and looked at Li Yuan's calm expression. She felt a little uneasy and felt very excited. It was also her first time doing this kind of thing, and she had no previous experience. When I was with Li Yuan in the past, Li Yuan basically took the initiative to pounce on me. She only needs to use her body to cooperate and integrate it into Li Yuan, so as to enjoy the original joy of life. But tonight, Li Yuan was not in a very good mood, and his interest was obviously low, so she wanted to make such an attempt to make Li Yuan happy. I saw. Qi Siyu came to Li Yuan. The distance between her and Li Yuan was less than 5 centimeters, and her mouth just reached Li Yuan's chin. If it were before, she would definitely stand on her tiptoes and kiss him, and then it would be a pleasant prelude to playing poker. But tonight, she didn't do that. Instead, she reached out and untied Li Yuan's nightgown, and then slowly squatted down. Master, let Daji dress as much as I want tonight, master. Wake up the next day. Li Yuan stretched and felt a little tired. This was a sign of excessive exercise. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 563. This little goblin has made great progress in his skills. If it weren't for my rich experience and deep inner strength, I would have been killed by this little goblin. This won't work. It seems that the exercise I have done during this period is too monotonous and my body lacks exercise. Li Yuan muttered to himself. From the beginning of the year to the beginning of the year, he didn't do proper exercise properly for a month or two, such as playing basketball. The exercises he did were basically mechanical exercises to exercise the waist and abdomen. Although the amount of exercise was not small and he often sweated profusely, the fitness effect was not good, and he began to show some fatigue. This scared Li Yuan. You know, he has just turned 19, and his body is at its peak. After the blessing of rebirth, he is particularly brave. But even so, if it continues like this, he has to play poker many times almost every day, and he can't hold on. This is just Zhong Tingyu, Xia's Haijin, Bai Wuxi, and Qi Siyu. If there are more, Li Yuan simply cannot imagine how to take good care of everyone. Damn, I now understand why those emperors in ancient times were so short-lived. They had to take all kinds of pills frequently. They really couldn't bear it. 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, 72 concubines, 3,000 beauties, such a huge number, it would be strange if the old emperor was exhausted to death. Li Yuan muttered a few words, and decided in his heart that he couldn't be busy making money all the time. He had to take time to do more serious exercise and exercise his body. He has made enough money to spend. Honor of Kings, Chayan Use, Zhu, online literature, real estate, and various stocks that have doubled their profits. Money is like it will multiply, it will only grow more and more. Just like the fruit company stocks he bought before the new year, 100 million yuan invested in it, and now it has grown to 180 million. After the Chinese New Year, with the huge income brought by Honor of Kings, he did not hesitate to invest another 300 million. Everyone knows how popular the fruit company will be in the future, right? That is a growth of hundreds of times, directly becoming the world's largest supergiant in terms of market value. After making this decision, Li Yuan felt much more relaxed. He looked at Qi Siyu, who was curled up in his arms, and a smile appeared on his face. Qi Siyu last night really brought him a novel experience, which made him exhausted and exhausted. He also liked this sexy queen more and more. He suddenly thought of a lyric he often heard in his previous life. Sister is wonderful, sister makes you worry-free, sister treats you as a treasure and treats you well, sister is highly conscious and is a mature little wildcat, sister will not let you pay for going out shopping and dating, sister is older than you, but she will not scold you, sister's temperament is also very cool, cute, and hot, sister will not treat you as a scumbag as long as you love her, marry her home quickly and have a successful career. Although Qi Siyu didn't have the second half of the sentence, the first half was quite in line with his expectations of a queen girlfriend. She was really very beautiful and very sexy. From the beginning, he had pure sexual desire for Qi Siyu, but now, after a long time of falling in love, he has begun to have a little more feelings. This sexy queen instructor is actually quite good. Although she is a little older than me, my mental age is much older than Qi Siyu. If it is based on my previous life, when I was in high school, Qi Siyu was only in elementary school, and she was completely a fresh meat. Besides, the instructor was still very chaste, saving her first time for me, and almost gave birth to a child for me. It makes no sense not to treat her well. Even if it is not as good as her, I can't be too much worse than the 3 of Zhong Tingyu, Xia's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi, right? Since he met Chi Siyu, he has spent less than 2.5 million yuan on her, which is not a lot. For example, this house can be changed. Li Yuan touched his chin, looked at the room, and thought to himself. This house is still a little small, only 80 or 90 square meters, which is completely inconsistent with his status. Who is he? He is a billionaire with a net worth of billions. There is no problem with his future net worth of tens of billions. Even if his girlfriend is not legitimate and can only be regarded as a lover, this treatment should be improved a little. Yesterday's oolong may happen again, and it is possible that Chi Siyu's parents will be involved. If they knew that their precious daughter was a mistress for others, they would definitely not be willing. Li Yuan was not very clear about Chi Siyu's family situation, and he had never asked about it. However, according to his observation and the information he learned from the side, it must not be particularly good. As long as the family conditions are not particularly good, there is still room for maneuver. Sometimes, parents, because of their many experiences, will be more rational in certain situations. Just like Zhong Tingyu's mother, Bai Wuxi's parents, Xia's Haijin's uncles and grandmothers. Of course, the most fundamental reason is that the three of them really love themselves. Otherwise, with their figures, looks, and education, they would not live so badly. Also like Chi Siyu, as far as he knows, the suitor, an associate professor at the university, is only 30 years old, which is already very talented. He may not be particularly rich, but he has a promising future. But, didn't Chi Siyu still ignore him? What does this show? It shows that Chi Siyu must be impressed by her looks and talent. In fact, it's not wrong to think so. If it weren't for the song connected to the gentle universe, this sexy instructor might not necessarily choose her. Ah! Going to see a house? Chi Siyu exclaimed, surprised, and asked. Looking at Li Yuan's eyes, she was puzzled. Li Yuan smiled faintly. Well, this house is a bit small, not very convenient, I'll change it to a bigger one for you. But, I'm not pregnant, Chi Siyu said shyly, a little embarrassed. Yesterday, after knowing that she was pregnant, Li Yuan said that he would change her to a bigger house, which was understandable. If she was pregnant and had a child in the future, her parents might come to take care of her, and this house with only 2 bedrooms really couldn't accommodate her. However, there was a big mistake yesterday. I was not pregnant at all. It was just that my period came a few days late. What's more, I bought an expired pregnancy test stick. Last night, after several in-depth exchanges with Li Yuan, my period came just after I woke up in the morning. It was as if she was waiting for Li Yuan and leaving time for him, which made her laugh and cry. Li Yuan laughed, stretched out his hand to rub Chi Siyu's head, and joked, didn't I say that I would prepare a surprise for you when you come back for the new year? This is the surprise I prepared for you. It has nothing to do with whether you are pregnant or not. Hearing Li Yuan say this, Chi Siyu breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Li Yuan seriously, with a happy smile on her face. He, I thought you had forgotten it. So, do you like this surprise? I like it. As long as I'm with you, I like everything I do. Haha, you said it, you can't regret it? You can't do anything excessive. What do you mean by excessive? That's right, Humph, I won't tell you. Last night's performance was very good. You should keep it up and develop some new postures in the future. You are my teacher, I want to learn more from you. Big bad guy, you still know that you are a student. Chapter 324 Bai Wuxi's emergency call, mother-in-law has a terminal illness. Buying a house is a trivial matter for Li Yuan. Recently, Chaoyan USE has begun to expand vigorously, and has begun to purchase new shops in major cities. The funds used here are billions. In addition to shops, There are also factories in the capital and Shenzhen and Guangzhou areas, which can be said to be fully rolled out with huge investment. According to his and Chi Cuyu's estimation, if Chaiyan USE can really develop as expected, it will definitely become a giant milk tea company this year. Let alone other things, the value of those shops alone is immeasurable. This is also Li Yuan's real estate investment plan. In the major core cities of China, the value of shops is unquestionable. Even if they do not appreciate, there is no problem in protecting the principal. What's more, with the rapid development of China in the next few years, these shops may not appreciate in value. Buying a house is very casual for Li Yuan, but for Chi Ciyu, it is a big deal. When Liang Jingjing heard that Li Yuan was going to buy a big house for Chi Ciyu, she was stunned, her eyes widened, and she looked at Chi Ciyu suspiciously with an unbelievable look. In her heart, could it be that her good girlfriend dressed Li Yuan too comfortably last night, and she was going to give him another big house? If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 564. Isn't this too inhumane? Ciyu, what on earth is going on? Aren't you not pregnant? Why does Li Yuan suddenly want to change your house? Chi Ciyu also shook his head, looking very confused. I don't know either, Li Yuan mentioned it himself. Tisk, tisk, Li Yuan is so kind to you, so inhumane. Liang Jingjing's expression was filled with envy. You know, a year ago, Li Yuanke bought the house at his feet in full and gave it to Chi Ciyu with a wave of his hand. He also waved his hand and gave him a bank card with 1 million in cash. He spent more than 2 million on Chi Ciyu. Unexpectedly, just a few days after the new year, Li Yuan wanted to buy Chi Ciyu a new big house. What else could she say, except that she was so envious that she exploded? Where is Li Yuan? Where has he gone? Why did he disappear when I went out? Is he coming with us to see the house? Chi Ciyu shook his head, feeling a little worried. He originally wanted to accompany me to see it, but he just suddenly received an urgent call and asked me to go see it myself first. I see that he looks bad, and I'm a little worried. Liang Jingjing smiled and said, then what's there to worry about? It must be something related to the company. He is a big boss and has many things to do. Chi Ciyu sighed, the worry in his heart did not disappear. She didn't know much about Li Yuan's affairs, and she wasn't deeply involved. For example, she only knew the general situation of Li Yuan's companies. She had read them online or heard them from other people. She didn't know much more than Liang Jingjing beside her. As far as she knew, Li Yuan's other girlfriends knew a lot more about Li Yuan's company. It has even gone deep into it. For example, Xia's Haijin, according to the news she heard, has been working in Li Yuan's technology company since September last year. Many employees are very familiar with Xia's Haijin. Zhong Tingyu and Bai Wuxi work in T-Beauty and Moonlight and also play an important role. And what about yourself? Li Yuan didn't tell her anything about the company, and he never mentioned that he wanted to take her to the company to have a look. She was thin-skinned and a little embarrassed to take the initiative to say this to Li Yuan. She also understood that her status in Li Yuan's heart was definitely much lower than that of Xia's Haijin and the others. However, there was nothing that could be done about it, and she could understand it. Now, as the relationship between the two develops, things are getting better and better. She believed that as long as she worked hard, sooner or later, Li Yuan would willingly take her to get to know him and walk into his life, so that they could live together openly. Liang Jingjing was very puzzled when she saw Chi Ciyu's worried face and very tangled look. I said, Chi Ciyu, can you stop looking so sad? This is a great event, so you have to be happy. I'm going to change my mansion soon. Many people can't even dream of it. Please give your sister a smile. Haha, that's enough, Chi Ciyu forced out a perfunctory smile. Goose, you are too perfunctory. Ciyu, Are you going to look at the house now? He, did Li Yuan tell you which community he wanted you to go to? No, he let me look at any properties I want, including off-plan properties and second-hand properties. For off-plan houses, you may have to wait a year or two before you can move in. You can look at second-hand new houses and move in, or you can buy second-hand rough houses, but you have to decorate them yourself. I suggest you take a look at them all. If you find something suitable, settle on it. Anyway, you don't have to pay for it. To be honest, I have only seen those mansions on the internet, and I have never heard of anyone having one in real life. They easily cost tens of millions. With the salary of both of us, we can live without food or drink for a lifetime. Even if I die, I won't be able to afford it. Oh, Jing, you know a lot. Isn't this common sense? Li Yuan really encountered something, and the call was from Bai Wuxi. Today is the 10th day of the Lunar New Year. The day before yesterday, Bai Wuxi and her parents had returned to the Magic City and settled down in the Magic City. Originally, Li Yuan wanted to accompany Qi Siyu to look at the house today. Unexpectedly, Bai Wuxi called and said that her mother-in-law and father-in-law went to a large hospital for a comprehensive examination yesterday, and the results came out today, and it seemed something was not good. When Bai Wuxi called, he was very emotional and felt like he was about to cry. Li Yuan was so excited that he quickly followed Qi Siyu, gave up going to see the house with her, and quickly drove to the affiliated hospital. That's not right. Why didn't I hear in my previous life that Bai Wuxi's parents were sick? Or did she not tell me? While driving, Li Yuan thought about what happened in his previous life. Memories appeared over and over again in his mind, and suddenly, a doubt suddenly made Li Yuan's heart jump. He vaguely remembered that at the beginning of the second semester of his junior year, Bai Wuxi seemed to often ask for leave, and he didn't see her for a long time. At that time, it was the last time he confessed to her, and Li Yuan clearly remembered how Bai Wuxi responded to him that time. Li Yuan, I'm sorry, there are some things I don't know how to tell you, and I don't want to burden you. You deserve better, I'm sorry. Bai Wuxi's answer at that time made Li Yuan, who was already a little crazy and distorted, naturally very dissatisfied, and then walked away angrily. For about half a month, he didn't take the initiative to contact Bai Wuxi, and Bai Wuxi naturally didn't contact him either. When he didn't give up and went to look for Bai Wuxi again, he saw the scene that made him despair, give up, and give up completely. He deleted everything about Bai Wuxi. From then on, the two people were like strangers and never contacted each other again. Even after graduation and high school reunion, they never saw each other again. Why do you feel something is wrong? Li Yuan murmured to himself, feeling a little panicked. Could it be that there is something hidden in this? He tried to recall everything about Bai Wuxi during that time in his previous life, but he couldn't remember anything. Time has passed for so long that I can only remember some particularly familiar things. Moreover, because he and Bai Wuxi were not in the same school, and they did not see each other often or chat frequently, he did not know many things that happened to Bai Wuxi. Forget it, if you can't figure it out, stop thinking about it. Hurry to the hospital to see what happened. Li Yuan came downstairs out of breath, quickly dialed Bai Wuxi's phone, and asked anxiously. Xiaobai, where are you? On the phone, there were many noisy voices around Bai Wuxi. Li Yuan, we are in the inpatient department. Where are you? I'll go down to pick you up. Inpatient department, Li Yuan's heart skipped a beat. Has he reached the point where he needs to be hospitalized? Generally speaking, if you are hospitalized in a tertiary hospital, you will definitely need surgery. What kind of disease does the cheap mother-in-law have? I'm in the outpatient department now. Which floor are you in the inpatient department? I'll be there right away. Bai Wuxi, I'm in ward 56 on the 26th floor of the inpatient department. Li Yuan, well, I'll be there soon. Li Yuan hung up the phone and trotted towards the inpatient department. Arriving in front of the elevator, Li Yuan looked at the floor display on the elevator wall, and his heart suddenly trembled again. Medical oncology? Mother-in-law has a tumor. Li Yuan murmured to himself, feeling very shocked and a little panicked. No matter in which era, even in 2023 before rebirth, malignant tumors are terminal diseases. As long as they reach the mid to late stage, there is no cure at all. To what extent? What kind of tumor? Wearing a mask, Li Yuan squeezed into the elevator nervously and arrived at the 26th floor of the inpatient department. As soon as she got out of the elevator, she saw Bai Wuxi waiting at the elevator door. The moment she saw Li Yuan appear, she immediately rushed up with red eyes and hugged Li Yuan tightly. "Brother, you are finally here. I am so scared, so scared." Li Yuan hugged Bai Wuxi, patted her shoulder, and comforted. "Xiao Bai, don't be afraid, I'm here." Bai Wuxi just hugged Li Yuan tightly, crying softly. The cry made Li Yuan feel a little hairy, and his heart suddenly thumped. Isn't it already in the middle or late stages? It shouldn't be. Mother-in-law Yang Jinyu is not yet 50 years old, so she can't be so miserable. If the cancer is in its early stage, it can be treated and there will be basically no sequelae. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 565. If it is in the middle or late stage, and the cancer cells have spread, it will be a big problem. There is no possibility of cure, no matter how rich you are. After Bai Wuxi cried for a while, Li Yuan asked solemnly. "Xiao Bai, what's the situation with Aunt Yang?" Bai Wuxi wiped her tears, looked at Li Yuan with red eyes, and told Li Yuan the details. "My parents had a physical examination before the new year, but the examination was not comprehensive. My mother felt unwell during the new year. It happened that she came to visit my grandparents after the new year, so she thought of coming to the big hospital in Shanghai for examination, and found out the problem." Li Yuan frowned. "What's wrong with Aunt Yang?" Bai Wuxi cried and said, "The doctor said it was a tumor, breast cancer, and she had to have surgery immediately." Li Yuan's heart trembled suddenly, and the worst thing happened. "Breast cancer? How serious is it?" "Bai Wuxi, the doctor said it seems to be early breast cancer. Fortunately, it was discovered early. As long as the surgery is successful, there is a high possibility of complete cure. If it is discovered a year or two later, it will not be possible." Li Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Early breast cancer is okay. Only if the surgery is successful can it be completely cured. If it spreads and reaches the middle and late stages, it will be over. Li Yuan comforted, "It's okay in the early stage, Xiao Bai, don't worry. The medical level of Magic City is so high, it is one of the best in the country. Aunt's disease can definitely be cured. But I'm still very worried." Bai Wuxi's slightly pale and haggard face, "The worry is still there." Li Yuan took Bai Wuxi's little hand and said seriously, "Xiao Bai, believe me, I will definitely help Aunt find the best doctor in the world, Aunt will be fine." Bai Wuxi stared at Li Yuan with red eyes and nodded, "Well, I believe you." When the two arrived at the ward, they saw Bai Tiankai and Yang Jinyu and his wife talking in a low voice. Seeing Li Yuan coming in, he quickly stood up and greeted him. "Xiao Yuan, you're here. Did it delay your work?" Li Yuan quickly waved his hands, "No, uncle, Aunt, I'm late." Bai Tiankai looked at the sweat on Li Yuan's forehead and knew that Li Yuan must be very anxious, so he told him the situation again. After listening, Li Yuan understood, which was similar to what Bai Wuxi said. Breast tumors have just begun to worsen, belonging to the early stage of the early stage. As long as the operation is done properly, it can be cured 100%. Therefore, this situation was not kept from Yang Jinyu, and it could not be kept from her. Originally, it was Yang Jinyu herself who proposed to come to Shanghai for a comprehensive checkup. She felt unwell, and nothing could be found in her hometown. "Uncle, Aunt, have you found a doctor? When will the surgery be performed?" Bai Tiankai shook his head. "They haven't said anything yet, it should be in the next few days. By the way, Xiao Li, you are familiar with Shanghai, can you find an experienced doctor to perform surgery on your aunt?" Li Yuan naturally understood what Bai Tiankai meant. This is human nature, and every patient would want to do it. Yang Jinyu's illness is really nothing on this floor. This kind of illness, if you don't say hello, it is likely to be handed over to an ordinary doctor, or even an intern doctor in hospital to practice. If there is someone in the hospital, you can find those well-known experts and old doctors to perform the surgery, and the possibility of success will be much higher. Unlike other professions, doctors are often more popular as they get older and have more experience. This is especially true for the surgeon. The more experience they have, the greater the possibility of accidents. Li Yuan felt the importance of connections again. "Uncle, leave this to me." Chapter 325, Bai Yueguang's devoted heart and Chu Yanyan's thoughts. Hearing Li Yuan say this, Bai Tiankai and Yang Jinyu would naturally not refuse. They already regarded Li Yuan as their son-in-law, and both sides had met their parents, which was considered a formal meeting. If the two are of the right age, according to the customs of their hometown, they can choose an auspicious day to get engaged directly. Besides, Li Yuan is now doing a big business and has a great reputation. He should have a lot of connections in Modu, and he will definitely find a more suitable famous doctor to perform surgery on Yang Jinyu. Human life is at stake, so Bai Tiankai will naturally not refuse Li Yuan's kindness. There is also a bit of relief in his eyes when he looks at Li Yuan. No matter how fickle Li Yuan is, he has no problem with responsibility and commitment. "Well, Xiao Yuan, thank you for your hard work." Li Yuan waved his hand quickly. "Uncle Yang, this is what I should do. I'll go out and make a phone call." After Li Yuan went out, he took a deep breath, his eyes were shining, and he made up his mind secretly. After going to the hospital for 2 consecutive days, he deeply felt the importance of connections. In his previous life, he hated the so-called socializing and connections and was not doing well. Before his rebirth, he didn't even get a 4th-level director. The civil servants of the same period were doing better than him. "I thought that in this life, after financial freedom, I no longer needed to manage the so-called connections and relationships, but the experience of the past few days still gave him a wake-up call. Humans are social animals. As long as they survive in this group, they will definitely deal with all kinds of people. Just like now, my cheap mother-in-law has breast cancer and needs surgery. I want to find a famous doctor to do it as soon as possible." However, he didn't know the so-called famous doctor, so even if he had money, he wouldn't be able to send it out in a short time. "You can't, just go to the scalpers directly, right? That's too inferior." "Well, sometimes, connections are really important. Forget it, with my current financial resources, it should be quite easy to make connections if money clears the way." In his previous life, Li Yuan didn't understand, he just didn't want to do it, and it was also because he had empty pockets and no money. How can you make connections without spending money? Eating, drinking, playing, and giving out specialties during the holidays don't all require money. You can't just use your mouth to trick the white wolf, right? Figures appeared in Li Yuan's mind, thinking about who could help him. In the end, it settled on a familiar person. Although he is very rich now, he knows very few people who can help him. He only has a good relationship with this person and has some contacts. A few days ago, he and Zhong Tingyu went to visit him with gifts. Got the other party. Li Yuan came to the stairwell, took out his mobile phone and made a call. Soon, The call was answered. "Hey, Li Yuan." Li Yuan said politely, "Uncle Ma, are you busy?" Ma Tangfei smiled and said, "It's okay. I'm socializing with some friends." "Are you okay?" Li Yuan coughed, "Uncle Ma, that's it? I want to ask you a favor." Ma Tangfei looked stunned and said somewhat unexpectedly, "Did someone make things difficult for you again?" Li Yuan smiled. He had just experienced the public controversy a few days ago. He went to Ma Huiteng and said hello to the TV station. "No, Uncle Ma, it's like this. One of my relatives has breast cancer and is going to have surgery. I want to find an expert to do it. It's safer." Hearing what Li Yuan said, Ma Tangfei immediately understood. "Breast cancer, how advanced is it?" Li Yuan gave an overview of the situation. "Breast cancer is in its early stage and has just worsened." Ma Tangfei breathed a sigh of relief. "Oh, that's good. Breast cancer is relatively easy to detect and treat. If it is early stage, it can be fully recovered after surgery. I know an expert on breast cancer who is very famous in the country. Let me help you contact him. By the way, which hospital is your relative in?" Li Yuan quickly replied, "Zhongshan Hospital." "Zhongshan Hospital? That's just right. She is the attending physician at Zhongshan Hospital. Please wait a moment and I'll have a phone call with her to find out the situation." Hearing Ma Tangfei's immediate agreement, Li Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Ma Tangfei Ren is still very good, and the mutai and tea cigarettes during the Chinese New Year are not free of charge. I will really manage some other connections in the future. I can't always trouble Ma Tangfei alone, Li Yuan thought to himself. Although Ma Tangfei seems very amiable and has a good relationship with him, he is after all the executive vice president of Daxia University and a powerful figure. He is very busy with big and small things every day. It would be very rude to interrupt him all the time. Li Yuan was thinking about some things in his mind, but he might not know much about others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 566. But he is still very clear about who is more powerful in the political world. At present, that person's status is too high, and he cannot touch it with his current strength, but if he manages it well, he still has a chance. It is January 2009, and there are still 3 years before the 18th National Congress. If everything goes well, maybe he can get close to him. Of course, it is definitely not enough to rely on himself now. At least, he has to be the leader of an industry to have this possibility. Li Yuan already has a plan in his mind. If he can stand out in those industries, he may be able to get the favor of this top boss. In addition to this strongest king-level boss, he also knows about several leaders of the Magic City. Now, if you plan ahead, make more investments, build relationships, and become more skilled, maybe you can be of help someday in the future. Alas, it's difficult, not just in China, but all over the world. When wealth reaches a certain level, without so-called relationships, you are just a fattened pig. Of course, with my current wealth, I won't necessarily be slaughtered. I have investments in various places and can live a happy life. Li Yuan stood on the stairs and waited for a while. About 5 minutes later, Ma Tangfei called. I have already said hello to Director Wang. She will make the arrangements. If everything goes well, the operation can be performed tomorrow. By the way, please send me the patient's information. After hearing this, Li Yuan was overjoyed. Yes, thank you Uncle Ma. I will send it to you later. By the way, Uncle Ma, can I ask Director Wang what her personal hobbies are? I want to express my feelings. Hearing Li Yuan's words, Ma Tengfei laughed, "You little guy, there is no need to express your feelings. I have a good relationship with her. Just say hello." Li Yuan thought to himself that such words were fine to hear, and whoever believed them would be a fool. If it was before, he might not care. But now, since he wants to make connections and manage relationships, he must not do it this way. You must express your feelings and maintain the relationship more, so that if you encounter such things again in the future, you can have an acquaintance. Now it is the cheap mother-in-law who has health problems, but it does not mean that other relatives are healthy. The more connections with the hospital, the better. Uncle Ma, I understand, I just want to thank you. This relative is very important to me. Ma Tengfei saw that Li Yuan insisted, and did not say much. In this industry, it is like this, and he still trusts Li Yuan. Okay, you can do it, just a token of your appreciation. Li Yuan nodded in understanding, okay, I know. After hanging up the phone, Li Yuan immediately came to the ward, told a few people about the situation, and sent Yang Jinyu's medical records. After a while, Ma Tengfei sent a message saying that he had already said hello and just waited. Li Yuan was relieved, looking at the nervous Yang Jinyu and Bai Tiankai, and explained. Uncle, Aunt, it has been arranged, and the operation can be performed tomorrow. That's good, Bai Tiankai breathed a sigh of relief, stared at Li Yuan deeply, and thanked him seriously. Xiao Yuan, thank you for your help. Li Yuan waved his hand quickly, Uncle Yang, you are too polite. We are all family. This is what I should do. Bai Tiankai rarely showed a smile, yes, we are all family. Bai Wuxi was very happy to hear Li Yuan say family and held Li Yuan's hand tightly. Li Yuan, thank you, it's great to have you. In the afternoon, Li Yuan met the chief physician Director Wang, a middle-aged woman with short hair and looked very capable. She was a famous doctor in the country who could be found by searching on the internet. After examining Yang Jinyu again, the operation began the next morning. The operation lasted less than 2 hours. Li Yuan, Bai Wuxi, and Bai Tiankai were waiting outside and accompanied throughout the whole process. The operation was successful. When Director Wang, wearing a white coat, told Li Yuan and others about the situation, Bai Wuxi and Bai Tiankai, father and daughter, burst into tears of joy. Thank you, Director Wang. It's really too much trouble for you. Li Yuan hurriedly thanked him and then invited him again. Director Wang, do you have time in the evening? I have arranged it. Uncle Ma will also attend. Wang Ling still attaches great importance to Li Yuan's invitation. She is also very curious about this very young big star in front of her. Okay, I'll go there in the evening. Li Yuan smiled and said, okay, I'll pick you up when you get off work. Wang Ling shook her head, no, give me a seat, I can go by myself. After the operation, Yang Jinyu was sent to the intensive care unit for observation and recuperation. Bai Tiankai stayed to take care of her, and Bai Wuxi followed Li Yuan to the banquet. Brother, is it appropriate for me to go? Bai Wuxi was a little nervous. Li Yuan smiled and said, it's okay. There are only a few people, Principal Ma of our school, Director Wang who is treating Auntie, and several doctors in the oncology department. You only need to be responsible for eating. In case I drink too much, your dad will take me home. Bai Wuxi exclaimed, ah, we still need to drink. Li Yuan laughed dumbly, how can you not drink when you are entertaining guests? They may not be able to drink much, but it's just a precaution in advance. And some gifts I prepared last night will also be sent tonight. In the future, Auntie will definitely come for regular checkups, and it is also necessary to maintain a good relationship. Hearing that Li Yuan was so thoughtful and all for his family, Bai Wuxi was immediately moved. Looking at Li Yuan affectionately, he stood on tiptoes and kissed him. When he woke up the next day, Li Yuan was a little confused, rubbed his head, and felt a little dizzy. Last night, he hosted a dinner party, and drank a lot of wine with Ma Tengfei and several doctors, and they became familiar with each other. It has to be said that the drinking table culture is indeed very popular in China and is very effective. After drinking some wine, the atmosphere naturally became thicker, and with the carefully selected gifts, it was easy to gain favor and leave contact information. Next time you encounter this kind of thing, you can contact her directly by phone. Bai Wuxi and Bai Tiankai stayed in the hospital to accompany Yang Jinyu. Li Yuan certainly couldn't stay in the hospital all the time. He still had a lot of things to do, especially at the beginning of the year. All kinds of things in the company required him to make decisions. Li Yuan looked at the time and said to himself, "Today is February 6th, the 12th day of the lunar year. Xi Jin should be back. It's been a long time since we last met. I've been busy these days and haven't contacted her much. I don't know if this silly girl misses me." Li Yuan muttered. He missed this treasure girl very much. He dialed the phone. And it was connected after only a few seconds. Li Yuan smiled and said, "Baby, do you miss me?" Xia's Haijin was still very shy. She glanced at her cousin Chu Yanyan beside her. She went out shopping with Chu Yanyan today. There were many pedestrians around. She was a little embarrassed and whispered, "I miss you." Li Yuan laughed, "What did you say? Why didn't I hear you? Speak louder." Listening to Li Yuan's words, Xia's Haijin's face became even redder. She mustered up her courage and raised her voice a few points. "I miss you. I still can't hear you clearly. Speak louder. I miss you. Speak louder. Humph, you big bad guy, I miss you." As Xia's Haijin answered loudly with courage, everyone around couldn't help but look at him sideways. Chu Yanyan leaned against Xia's Haijin, watching Xia's Haijin and Li Yuan talking about love, and couldn't help but curl her lips, with a complex look in her heart. "A few days ago, my parents bought a large house with 4 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and 2 bathrooms in Shancheng, saying that it was for my younger brother to go to school." She was still very confused at the time, wondering where her parents got so much money. After further questioning, she realized that her parents had borrowed a lot of money from Xia's Haijin without her knowledge, and had said some inexplicable things. In her opinion, Xia's Haijin's money was equivalent to Li Yuan's money. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 567. Therefore, she now owes Li Yuan, a philandering scumbag, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I feel very uncomfortable when I think of my mother in my ears, occasionally expressing her envy for Xia's Haijin, and saying that she could only find a boyfriend like Li Yuan in the future, and praising Li Yuan as a flower. She is not stupid, so she can naturally understand what her mother is saying. "Oh, the more I owe him, the more I owe him," Chu Yanyan sighed quietly in her heart, with a complicated look in her eyes. Li Yuan suddenly laughed and said, "Ha ha, if you miss me, why don't you come back to me quickly? School hasn't started yet. It's already 12 today. You can come back. I'll pick you up tomorrow." "Ah, you don't have to come to pick me up. Sister Yanyan and I can just take a plane together. It's really not necessary, can you two do it?" "Okay, let's go together, you don't have to worry." "Well, I've been busy these days and time is tight. When you come, I'll pick you up at the airport." "Yeah, I know. By the way, when flying, remember to buy a first-class cabin, and don't be reluctant to spend money. Comfort is the most important thing." "Yeah, I understand. Good baby, come back soon, I'll be waiting for you in Magic City." Chapter 326. Li Yuan, cousin, what are you playing with me for? February 8, 2009, the 14th day of the first lunar month. 11 o'clock in the morning. The weather in the Magic City has become a little warmer, and the flow of people in the streets and alleys has returned to the same level as before. People who have gone out and returned to their hometowns have once again returned to this metropolis full of endless possibilities, ecstasy, but also sadness. In the airport departure hall, Li Yuan wore a mask and looked at the big screen at the airport, quietly waiting for the arrival of sisters Xia's Haijin and Chu Yanyan. In my ears, the music broadcast at the airport was ringing with the song The Ordinary Road. I have crossed mountains and seas, and also passed through mountains and seas of people. Everything I once owned was gone like smoke in the blink of an eye. Listening to his own singing, Li Yuan smiled slightly. For more than a month, no matter where he went or in which city, he could hear his singing. No makeup, the rest of my life, the ordinary road, just met you, etc. have spread all over the country, in the streets and alleys. Whether it is a middle-aged man who has gone through many vicissitudes of life in his 40s, a boy or girl in his 20s who is in their prime, or a group of young people who are 30 years old and have many regrets. Among his many songs, there will always be one that suits you, making you unable to help but follow the singing and immerse yourself in it. Or love, or regret, or plainness. It's a pity that it's really not good to be too famous. I lose all my freedom. Li Yuan felt helpless. Being famous has brought him great benefits, making his Chayan USA milk tea shop and King of Glory games a great success and making a lot of money. Likewise, there are pros and cons. While his great fame brought many benefits, it also brought him many troubles. If you are too well known, it is easy to be watched, which is a very real problem. Just like if you happen to meet Tencent Ma, Tianwangzhou, etc. on the road, would you go and look around curiously, say hello, and ask for a photo? Li Yuan's reputation at this time, not only being a household name and well known to everyone, is not inferior to those of the first-line stars, or even worse. Although those singers are famous and their singing is good, they are accumulated over time. It is completely unlike Li Yuan. In just a few months, like the sun, he rose from the devil's capital and soared quickly. Today, it is like the sun in the sky. The most important point is that because of Li Yuan's figure, appearance, education, and relationship, he has attracted many very enthusiastic fans, especially the number of female fans, which is almost full, and there is a tendency to become a brain-dead fan and a mother fan. Just like now, two girls who looked to be in their 20s and dressed very fashionably were talking quietly next to Li Yuan. With the hearing aided by Li Yuan's rebirth, he could hear the conversation between them clearly. "Hey, Sister Hong, look at the boy sitting there, does he look familiar?" "Yes, looking at the profile, he looks a bit like my summer flower boy, but he's wearing a mask, so I can't confirm." "Do you think he looks like her?" Yes, they are so similar. This figure, this profile, they are exactly the same as Xiahua." "Sister Hong, can this really be Xiahua?" "I don't know, do you want us to go say hello?" I'm sorry, what if I admit the wrong person?" "What's the matter? If you admit your mistake, just admit it. What if it's really the summer flower goddess?" "Hee, we can take a photo together." "Then, let's go over and say hello now." Li Yuan was speechless after hearing the conversation between the two girls. He had often encountered this kind of thing recently. Before the Chinese New Year, everyone may be busy preparing to go home for the New Year, which is not so exaggerated. But with the end of the Spring Festival holiday, the songs Li Yuan sang continued to spread, coupled with the extremely high popularity brought by Glory of the King, his reputation continued to increase. Li Yuan saw these two girls coming over to say hello, and just as he was about to avoid them, suddenly, he glanced away and saw the exit of the terminal. Two girls with similar height, appearance, and figure, wearing the same style of jacket, appeared in the field of vision. After waiting for more than half an hour, They finally arrived. Li Yuan was looking forward to it. He hadn't seen his treasure girl for more than half a month and missed her very much. He hurried over and happened to pass by the two girls who had just secretly talked about him. Seeing that the two girls were staring at him intently, Li Yuan smiled at them. He always had great goodwill towards his fans. These were all high-quality customers of his company. The two girls looked at Li Yuan's tall figure, the familiar back, the familiar eyes, and the handsome profile. They exclaimed immediately, covered their mouths, and stared with their eyes wide open. Ah! 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 He is really Xiahua male god, Sister Hong, did you see that? My male god smiled at me. I saw it, he smiled at me too. I can be sure now, it is really him, that eye is exactly the same as Xiahua male god, so handsome. Just one look, I feel like I am about to fall. Xiahua male god is really super handsome, super body. Hey, Lan, look, Xiahua male god is walking towards the other two girls, still greeting them. They are holding hands. Could it be that this girl is also one of Xiahua male god's girlfriends? It is very likely. Xiahua male god is too outstanding, it is normal for him to have more girlfriends. If I can be that beautiful, I also want to be Xiahua male god's girlfriend. Hee, stop dreaming Lanlan, have you noticed that these two girls look a bit alike, could they be sisters? Ah, no way, could it be that Xiahua, the male god, has a pair of girlfriends who are sisters? This is a bit too incredible. Who knows, Lanlan, do you still want to go and say hello now? Forget it, his girlfriend is here, I feel a bit embarrassed. Hee, that's okay, we are not competing with her for her boyfriend. If we miss this opportunity, there will be no more. If you don't go, I will go, right? Well, then, let's go together, to give you courage. Chu Yanyan looked at Li Yuan skillfully, took out a pen from his pocket, signed the names of the two excited girls, took a photo together, and couldn't help curling her lips. Thinking of her mother's very obvious hints, coupled with this scene, she hated the philandering scumbag in front of her. I really can't understand why everyone likes this kind of philandering radish. Just because he is handsome, has a good figure, is talented, rich, and generous? Is love so worthless? Can it be measured by material things? Looking at her cousin who was following Li Yuan and looked like a well-behaved, cute, and sensible little woman, she was furious. Her cousin was good in everything and perfect in every aspect, but she was a little too stubborn and looked like she was completely devoted to Li Yuan. Thinking of this, Chu Yanyan couldn't help but tease. Oh, you are indeed a big star, you are really popular, wherever you go, there are your female fans. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 568. After Li Yuan said goodbye to the two girls who wanted autographs with a smile, he heard Chu Yanyan's teasing and looked at her flushed face and eyes due to the cold, and replied with a smile. Haha, cousin, are you jealous? Chu Yanyan didn't know what she thought of, her pretty face suddenly turned red, and she glared at Li Yuan coquettishly. Humph, I will be jealous of a playboy like you, so stop dreaming. Li Yuan didn't care and continued to tease this cold cousin. He has known Chu Yanyan for a while, and he knows her character, she is sharp-tongued and has no bad intentions. It's just that he is a bit stubborn and has a relatively correct outlook on life. Otherwise, he would not have committed suicide by jumping off a building in his previous life, which can be described as being strong. Cousin, although you are beautiful, you can't accuse others unfairly. I admit that I am a playboy, but where is my scumbag? Hearing Li Yuan's serious answer, Chu Yanyan was suddenly speechless, and for a moment, she didn't know how to respond. Indeed, Li Yuan was very carefree and deceived his cousin Xia's Haijin into his hands just after he was a freshman. Not to mention, He also dated 2 other girlfriends at the same time. If he is not a playboy, then there are not many playboys in the world. But, is Li Yuan really a scumbag? It's hard to say this, everyone has a personal opinion. She also knows some scumbags. Those are the real scumbags. They start messing around but eventually give up. They cheat money and sex, get pregnant, cheat people into taking drugs, etc. It all sounds very hateful, and he is an out-and-out scumbag. And what about Li Yuan? Several of his girlfriends are devoted to him, and no one has a bad word to say about him. Not only that, even his parents and relatives did not say anything bad about Li Yuan, and even thought about pushing his biological daughter into Li Yuan's arms. Chu Yanyan didn't know what to say. I can only complain in my heart, maybe this is the power of money ability? Not entirely, Li Yuan's own conditions are also very good, he is tall, handsome, in good health, and most importantly, very talented. Seeing Chu Yanyan suddenly fall silent, Li Yuan smiled proudly, took Xia's Haijin's little hand, and began to show affection. Haijin, your hands are so cold. It's so cold, why don't you wear gloves? Come on, let me cover you up. As he said that, he put Xia's Haijin's little hand in his pocket and covered it with his hand. Xia's Haijin hasn't seen Li Yuan for a long time, and she misses her very much. However, due to her personality, she is shy and doesn't know how to express it. I am not cold. My hands are almost frozen, but I still say they're not cold. Be obedient and I'll cover them for you. Chu Yanyan on the side had come to her senses, and when she saw Li Yuan and Xia's Haijin openly showing affection in front of her, the feeling of lemonade in her heart became even stronger. Humph, Li Yuan, Ajin, am I a little redundant now? Li Yuan laughed, stretched out his other hand, and joked. I still have one hand left. Do you want to join me? I can help you keep warm for free. Chu Yanyan didn't expect that Li Yuan would say this to make a joke on her. Her heart suddenly trembled, like a deer bumping into each other. She widened her eyes and looked at Li Yuan blankly. For a moment, she seemed to be immobilized. Technique, I don't know how to answer. Li Yuan looked at Chu Yanyan's expression and didn't expect the other party to be so careless. This dull look and the sharp-tongued look just now formed a huge contrast. Li Yuan secretly laughed in his heart, haha, little boy, are you being manipulated by me now? Let's see if you still dare to laugh at me in the future. Li Yuan looked at Chu Yanyan who was in a daze and continued to tease. Cousin, why are you silent? Is your mouth frozen? Do you want me to blow it for you? Li Yuan, you, Chu Yanyan was furious, her face and neck were covered with blush, and she glared at Li Yuan fiercely. Li Yuan shrugged and continued to fire without mercy. Hey, senior sister, you can't just stare at me like that because of your big eyes, I'm a little scared. When you stare at me like this, does it mean that you also like me? After hearing this, Chu Yanyan immediately blushed and said, Bah, you stinking scoundrel, even if all men in the world die, I won't like you either. Li Yuan pretended to be relieved and joked. Oh, that's good. Fortunately, you don't like me. Fortunately. Fortunately. Seeing Li Yuan's despicable appearance, Chu Yanyan was furious. She glared at Li Yuan fiercely and muttered dissatisfiedly. Li Yuan, what do you mean? You seem to be glad that I don't like you. Li Yuan smiled and said casually and indifferently, no, cousin, you are too good. A commoner like me is not worthy of your love at all. Chu Yanyan snorted, humph, you are somewhat self-aware. Li Yuan chuckled and echoed, yes, yes, you deserve better. I wish you happiness, I wish you happiness. After saying that, looking at Chu Yanyan's expression of being about to be outraged again, Li Yuan quickly pulled Xia's Haijin, who was snickering aside, and began to change the topic. Hyjin has been on the plane for a long time, should you be hungry? I have already booked a hotel. It tastes pretty good. Let's go and try it together. Xia's Hyjin nodded and smiled sweetly, yeah. Sister Yanyan. Let's go eat. Chu Yanyan looked at Li Yuan and Xia's Hyjin together, and suddenly felt that she was a little redundant now. Huh, don't eat anymore. I'm full. You go and eat. Li Yuan replied casually, hey, cousin, excuse me, what kind of gas do you eat? Carbon dioxide. Is it delicious? Chu Yanyan was so angry when she heard Li Yuan's words that she raised her fist and hit Li Yuan on the shoulder. Li Yuan, you bastard, you only know how to bully me. Li Yuan felt wronged. Sister Yanyan, how can you wrongly accuse a good person for no reason? When did I bully you? If you don't believe me, asks Hyjin, did you bully me first? Chu Yanyan also looked at Xia's Hyjin with a frown. Ajin, tell me, is it Li Yuan who bullies people? Xia's Hyjin looked at the two helplessly, not knowing whether to cry or laugh. Before the Chinese New Year, she felt that once Li Yuan met her cousin, it was like a needle against a wheat spike, and they started arguing. You are all wrong. Seeking monthly tickets. Handsome men and beautiful women, if you have extra monthly tickets, throw them here. End of this chapter. Chapter 327. Three girls gather at the Lantern Festival, special atmosphere. The bickering with Chu Yanyan is just a small episode in ordinary life. Looking at the former beautiful senior sister, who was so angry that she blew her beard and glared, and her cheeks were as red as peaches, Li Yuan felt very interesting. Li Yuan smiled secretly in his heart, I like the way you are unhappy with me, but you can't get rid of me. He has a special feeling for Chu Yanyan. This beautiful senior sister was too miserable in her previous life. She was forced to jump off the building and commit suicide. At the most beautiful age, she died. He couldn't help but hold a trace of pity. However, he didn't have any improper thoughts about this beautiful senior sister, although this cousin was indeed very beautiful, comparable to Xia's Hyjin and others, and was a big beauty at the level of the campus belle of the University of Science and Technology, otherwise she wouldn't be pursued by so many people. Li Yuan also knew in his heart that Chu Yanyan was very unhappy with him. Her view of love was probably the normal kind, with very clear markings for choosing a partner. His current situation was obviously not within the range of Chu Yanyan's choice. He didn't mean to do that, or else his waist wouldn't be able to bear it if he drank more. He took the sisters, who were both beautiful as fairies, to a big meal, and accompanied them to walk around Shanghai. That afternoon, his parents also took Li Zixia back to Shanghai. Li Zixia is still in the first year of high school, so the courses are not so intense. She will start classes after the Lantern Festival on the 15th day of the first lunar month. Her grades are not bad, mainly because she was more diligent and hard-working when she was in school in her hometown. When she went to high school in Shanghai, she had three sisters-in-law who were top students from 985 universities, Bai Wuxi, Xia's Hyjin, and Zhong Tingyu, who tutored her enthusiastically and seriously. Her grades in various subjects kept rising, which was much better than finding a tutor. For example, Bai Wuxi's English is particularly good, and her Chinese is also very good. This is also Li Zixia's weak link, which has been gradually made up. She can get an English score of 140 plus in the college entrance examination. She must have her own unique method for learning English well. Xia's Hyjin is better at math and physics, and has strong logical thinking, and is the one who tutors the most seriously. As long as Li Yuan is not at home or is not particularly busy, she will basically go home and tutor Li Zixia on some homework. Zhong Tingyu is more comprehensive, especially in musical instruments, painting, singing, etc., and she is very good at it, so she tutors less on homework. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 569. After half a year of integration, she has basically adapted to living and studying in Shanghai. Among them, Li Yuan's factors accounted for a large part. If ordinary foreign students move to Shanghai, they may not adapt very well. Although there are many foreigners in Shanghai, xenophobia and regional discrimination are not uncommon. However, this is not a problem for Li Zixia. With Li Yuan, a big star, as her brother and so rich, no one in the class, whether they were boys or girls, deliberately isolated her or ridiculed her. There are even some female classmates who want to ask for their mobile phone numbers and QQ numbers through Li Zixia. I don't know what their purpose is. In the blink of an eye. It's the 15th day of the first lunar month, the Lantern Festival. Jinxia Villa Community. Mother Xiaqin is making glutinous rice balls in preparation for the evening meal. Father Li Heng was watching the news. Li Zixia was holding the guitar, learning the instrument there, and humming an unknown song. Influenced by Li Yuan, she also fell in love with singing. However, she has not experienced the blessing of rebirth. Compared with Li Yuan's singing talent, there is still some gap, but she can still be regarded as slightly talented. The whole room has been cleaned spotlessly by my mother. Some green plants are placed in the living room and balcony, making the whole room green and full of vitality. Tonight, there will be a special dinner. Xiaqin finished cleaning up and walked out of the kitchen. Lao Li, when will Xiao Yuan and the others come back? Li Heng, I don't know, you can ask yourself. Xiaqin replied dissatisfied, I have to ask you everything. What do you want me to do? By the way, I heard from Xiao Yuan that Xiaobai's mother had surgery and is in the hospital. When can we go and see her? Li Heng thought for a while and said, tomorrow, it's too late today. Xiaqin, the same goes for Xiao Yuan. Xiaobai's mother was hospitalized for surgery and she didn't tell us in advance. Otherwise, we would have had to go and see her this morning. I heard from Xiao Yuan that Xiaobai's mother has breast cancer. Isn't this a terminal illness? Can it be cured? Li Heng shook his head. The reason why a terminal illness is called a terminal illness is because it cannot be cured. However, I heard what Xiao Yuan said. Xiaobai's mother had early-stage breast cancer. She was treated by a specialist. The surgery was very successful and there should be no recurrence. Bar. Xiaqin sighed, oh, this person needs to be in good health. Xiaobai's mother is about the same age as me, but she has this disease. Li Heng frowned and asked, Xiao Yuan said that he has arranged a full set of physical examinations for us in the past 2 days, and the whole body has been carefully examined. If it had happened before, Li Heng would definitely not have been willing to do it. He felt that he was in good health, could eat, drink, work, and sleep soundly. How could he seem to have a problem? But when they found out that their mother-in-law suddenly got cancer at their age, the two of them were immediately frightened and never said they would refuse the checkup. Since their son is so rich, there is no need for them to save for it. It only costs tens of thousands of yuan. Xiaqin also nodded, whether you check it or not, the medical level in small counties is still not very good. Misdiagnoses are often made, and some problems may not be able to be detected. Magic City is a big city and the medical level is top-notch in the country. You can feel at ease if you check it carefully. After Xiaqin finished speaking, she paused and then spoke with some worry. Old Li, Xiao Yuan asked me to prepare a few more pairs of chopsticks. He will bring Xiaobai's Haijin and Tingyu tonight. I don't know why, but I'm a little worried. Li Heng glanced at his frowning wife and asked, what are you worried about? Xiaqin snorted, are you stupid? If all three of them came tonight and sat together to eat, facing each other, wouldn't it be awkward? Li Heng replied nonchalantly, whatever it is, just let him handle it by himself. Since he dares to bring all three girlfriends back, he must be sensible. Thinking of the current situation at home, Xiaqin didn't know whether to cry or laugh. As a woman, she was also somewhat dissatisfied with her biological son's philandering behavior. But from the perspective of a mother, she also feels that her son is very capable. He is able to find three such beautiful girlfriends, all of whom are famous college students. It feels very honorable. Throughout my hometown, I can hold my head high and stand upright to speak. Now, she has truly experienced the saying. When you are poor in the busy city, you have no one to care about you. When you are rich in the mountains, you have distant relatives. Once a person becomes rich and powerful, relatives who were once beyond reach will come to visit his home to pay New Year greetings. Everyone, in person, will smile and be surrounded by good people. It's a pity that Xiao Yuan and Xiaobai are still young. In a few years, they will graduate from college and give birth to a few children for our old Li family. We can also help take care of the children, so they won't be so boring. Li Heng's heart also moved, and he became interested. Xiao Yuan is only 19 years old. He has not yet reached the legal age for marriage. He has to wait a few more years. We are a big family, but ours is the only one with a relatively small population. We will have to let Xiao Yuan have a few more children in the future. Xiaqin laughed and said, there must be no less, Xiaobai, Zhaijin, Tingyu, if each has one, there will be 3 children. If each has 2, then there will be 6. As long as they are willing to have children, we will raise them. Xiao Yuan earns so much money, not to mention 6 children, even 60 children can be raised. While the couple was still imagining the future of having a house full of children and grandchildren. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Xiaqin quickly got up and went to open the door. She saw Xia Zhaijin wearing a white down jacket and long boots, holding fruit in one hand and a plastic bag in the other, standing at the door. Auntie. When Xiaqin saw Xia Zhaijin, her face was immediately full of smiles. She hadn't seen Xia Zhaijin for more than half a month, and she missed this hard-working, beautiful and gentle girl very much. Zhaijin is here, hurry up and cook in the house. It's so cold, why buy fruit when you go back to your own home? Auntie, I brought some mountain city specialties from my hometown, such as fried dough twists, hot pot base, etc. I wonder if you like them. I like them. It's cold outside, don't stand at the door, come in quickly. Yeah. Xia Zhaijin nodded shyly, and when she entered the house, she called Li Heng uncle very obediently, and after saying hello, she looked into the house. Xiaqin took Xia Zhaijin's hand and said with a smile, Li Yuan and the others haven't come yet, you sit down and wait, Auntie is preparing dinner. Xia Zhaijin didn't go to the company today. After she arrived in Shanghai last night, she spent a sweet night with Li Yuan, and then went to school again, brought some Shancheng specialties to several roommates, and then rushed back from school. At this time, Li Zixia saw Xia Zhaijin coming, and quickly put down the guitar, ran over quickly, took Xia Zhaijin's hand affectionately, and spoke sweetly. He, sister-in-law, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you so much. Do you miss me? Xia Zhaijin smiled sweetly, I miss you. Anning often mentions you. Li Zixia said with a smile, I haven't seen Anning for a long time. It would be great if he could also come to Shanghai to study. Sister-in-law, during the May Day holiday, can we go back to Shancheng together? Shancheng has more delicious food and fun things than Shanghai. Anning and Grandma, haven't been to Shanghai yet? We can also bring them over to play for a few days. Xia Zhaijin, okay, we'll see how to arrange the time during the holidays. Li Zixia, haha, Anning must not have seen the sea yet. When the time comes, take him to see the sea. Then take a cruise and go surfing. It must be very exciting. I heard my brother say a few days ago that when the weather gets warmer, we will rent a cruise and take our whole family to travel around the world together. After a while, Zhong Tingyu, Li Yuan, and Bai Wuxi also came home one after another. The room, which was originally a little empty, suddenly became bustling and lively. Zhong Tingyu, Xiao's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi, three beautiful women with their own characteristics, gathered together, looking a little shy and nervous. Although they often came here with Li Yuan, Xiao's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi came here many times because they tutored Li Zixia's homework. Before the new year, the three of them often appeared together in the villa of Xingawan, so they were familiar with each other. But it was the first time that the three of them came here at the same time and met Li Yuan's parents face to face. The feeling was naturally completely different when there were elders in the family, or the parents-in-law, and they were all a little nervous. Li Yuan looked at his parents, his sister, and then at his three girlfriends, Zhong Tingyu, Xiao's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi, who were sitting beside him, and suddenly felt a sense of very satisfied. If this was in his previous life, it would be a scene he dared not imagine in his dreams, but it has been realized in this life. Each of the three girlfriends is perfect, and it is difficult for him to find shortcomings. Li Yuan sometimes wondered what the three of them thought and felt about the current situation in their hearts, and whether they were really willing. But at this time, on this special day, the Lantern Festival, he felt that he needed to maintain his relationship with them, and it was also good like this. Xiaqin was a little nervous and uneasy about the three daughters-in-law being together, fearing that the atmosphere would be cold and conflicts would occur. However, when she saw the three girls talking and laughing together, and they seemed to get along very well, her worries were relieved. She glanced at her playboy son from the corner of her eye and secretly gave him a thumbs up. Sometimes she couldn't figure out who her precious son took after and why he was so good at relationships, able to chase after three such beautiful and outstanding girlfriends, and even let them sit together harmoniously. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 570. Who should I follow? Son follows father? Could it be that it was Lao Li? Thinking of this, Xiaqin glared at Li Hong fiercely. Humph, you Lao Li family's offspring must all have a frivolous heart. Li Hong, who was glared at, felt a little baffled. Xiaqin greeted Zhong Tingyu and the other girls to eat with a smile on her face. Come on, let's eat quickly. How about trying Auntie's cooking? Haijin, this is the braised pork made by Aunt. You should eat more to replenish your body. You are too thin. Xiao Bai, come and eat some twice-cooked pork. It's a mountain city specialty. It tastes pretty good. Tingyu, come and try this. Your uncle collected a few of the pheasants flying in our hometown. They taste very good. This special Lantern Festival dinner was eaten in a special atmosphere. Li Yuan and his father Li Hong each drank more than half a bottle of white wine, their cheeks were rosy and they were very drunk. Li Yuan looked at the house and smiled. Mom and Dad, if we are all here, the house will be a bit small. How about changing to another house? I bought a single-family villa in Tianyupan. It covers an area of more than 1,000 square meters. It is much spacious and has been decorated. You can move in directly. Chapter 328. The Honor of Kings selection competition begins, and the whole country is excited. Upon hearing Li Yuan's arrangement, Xiaqin immediately frowned subconsciously, somewhat reluctantly. Moving again? Isn't it nice here? My place is very close to where Zixia goes to school, and I am familiar with the neighbors. If I move away, I will have to get to know people again. Lao Li, tell me, do you want to move? Li Hong put down his chopsticks and was about to respond when his eyes caught the expressions of the three daughters-in-law. When he spoke, he changed his tone again. You can also change your house. This place is indeed a bit too small to live in. His meaning is self-evident. Although the house he lives in now has 4 bedrooms, 1 living room, 1 kitchen, and 1 bathroom, which is considered a luxury house in Shanghai, his son has 3 girlfriends. I can't live in it, I can't live in it at all. Xiaqin is still a little reluctant. She has finally become familiar with the neighbors in the past 6 months. When she has nothing to do, she hangs out with some peers. She is definitely not willing to move to an unfamiliar environment. Li Yuan had already expected this and took out the ultimate move he had prepared without taking it seriously. Mom, don't you like to grow your own vegetables? The new villa I bought has a separate yard. You can grow some vegetables, flowers, etc. in it. Mom, don't you often complain that you're a little afraid of heights when standing upstairs, and it's troublesome to have to take the elevator? In that villa, you don't need to take the elevator. You can live on the first floor, which is very convenient. Besides, it doesn't mean that if you move there, you can't come back here. If you want to come back, you can come back. The 2 communities are not far apart. It looks like 2 or 3 miles away, but they are only separated by 2 streets. Listening to what Li Yuan said, Xiaqin was a little moved and opened her mouth, still struggling. In fact, Li Yuan said that the garden can grow vegetables, which is really to her liking. As a person from a rural family, when I was in my hometown, I liked to grow some green vegetables, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers and other vegetables in the open space in front of and behind the house. Although they were not valuable, they gave me a sense of accomplishment and were very convenient. Feel free to eat. But it's different in the Magic City. This habit that has been accumulated for decades can only be given up. Seeing that his mother was still hesitating, Li Yuan once again unleashed his ultimate trump card. Mom, look at our whole family. If we want to drink some wine or have a meal together at night, we can't even stay at home. Later, if our grandparents and uncles come, we won't have a place to stay. We can't let them stay. Are they staying in a hotel? After Li Yuan finished speaking, he winked at Li Zixia. Li Zixia was eating braised pork ribs at the side. When she saw her brother winking at her, she nodded her head in understanding and secretly made an okay gesture towards Li Yuan. Mom, my brother is right. It's not far there anyway. It's much more convenient to move to a bigger house. I went to see it. The villa is quite big. It has 3 floors, with an area of 1,000 square meters. I can have my own study room, and I can also buy a piano and let my sister-in-law teach me to play the piano. Mom, let's move there, okay? Li Zixia shook her mother-in-law's arm and used the trick of coquettishness. Zhong Tingyu also answered with a smile, Auntie, it's easier to move here. We all live there, so we can visit you and Uncle often. When Bai Wuxi saw Zhong Tingyu expressing his opinion, he quickly agreed, not to be outdone. Yes, Auntie, the environment there is better, and it will be more comfortable to live there. Auntie's cooking is so delicious, we can go there often to have a meal. Xia's Haijin just smiled sweetly and looked at everyone without saying anything, but there was also a look of expectation in her eyes. For her, as long as Li Yuan wants to do something, she will support it unconditionally. Seeing that the whole family wanted to move there, Xiaqin had no reason to refuse and could only nod in agreement. Okay then, let's talk about it in 2 days when we are free. Stop talking about this, hurry up and eat the food, it's almost cold. Zhaijin, Tingyu, Xiaobai, you all use chopsticks. You're in your own home, so don't be polite. Yeah, the braised pork cooked by Aunt is really delicious. If you want to eat it from now on, Auntie will make it for you every day. Dad, come on, let's have some more drinks. Today is the Lantern Festival. We, as a family, are together and we have to celebrate it properly. After the Lantern Festival, Li Yuan originally wanted to fly to the imperial capital immediately to meet the person he missed day and night. However, another thing hindered his progress and forced him to stay for one more day. The announcement of the Honor of Kings National Selection Competition was officially released, and the entire Datang Technology Company began to become busy around this news. Longjia Building, Datang Technology Company. This 2,000 square meter office building is already overcrowded, with people sitting in every position. With the continuous development of Honor of Kings and Zhu, the company needs more and more people. So far, it has exceeded the 100 mark and has transformed from a small studio into a small company. And this small company is not simple. It has already won a big share of the cake in the Chinese online game market. The profit level is very exaggerated. Less than a month after the launch of Honor of Kings, the profit revenue has reached 1 billion. In the current domestic market, it is the most profitable game company. Now, what everyone in the company has to do is to make this cake bigger, more fragrant, more delicious, more famous, establish a brand effect, and make some players feel dependent on this game. As someone who has experienced this before, I have just experienced business competition and dealt with public opinion turmoil. Li Yuan naturally knew clearly those hostile companies. What kind of measures will game companies such as Tencent and Wanji take after seeing such a large market share? He is sure that there must be more than one company currently studying other games of the same type based on the game model of Honor of Kings. At that time, you can change the game name at will, change some hero names and skills, and create a League of Legends, League of Kings, etc., without any difficulty at all. Although this game was indeed very powerful and epoch-making in its previous life, it has remained popular for a long time. However, this also has a lot to do with the publisher of the game. Anyone who knows a little bit about Tencent will know what Tencent will do to its competitors. Attack, acquisition, imitation, 3 steps, but the application is so perfect that it is too familiar. It has not appeared now because Honor of Kings has just been launched less than a month ago. No matter how powerful other companies such as Tencent are, they cannot develop it in less than a month. Faced with such an exaggerated profit level of Honor of Kings, Li Yuan can 100% guarantee that other game companies such as Tencent will never let go of this fat. Tencent, who has QQ, will be like God's help when doing this, which is very convenient. Now, Li Yuan can only think of ways to increase the popularity of Honor of Kings. The upcoming Honor of Kings National Selection Competition is a good gimmick. Li Yuan has high hopes for this competition. A few days ago, he had asked Xie Zheng, Hu Zhenqiang, and Lin Yue to come up with specific plans. In the conference room, Li Yuan, Xia Haijin, and Zhong Tingyu were all there, sitting on the left and right next to him. As for Bai Wuxi, today he took Li Heng and Xia Qin to visit Yang Jinyu in the hospital. Li Yuan listened to Hu Zhenqiang's report attentively and nodded with a smile. Starting today, the announcement of the national selection competition for Honor of Kings has officially begun. Mainly for early publicity to enhance influence. Mr. Li, our publicity this time is mainly in 2 ways, online and offline. Online publicity is the same as the previous activities, and offline we have added some advertising investment. We have done it in major stations and schools. Some ads. According to our budget, the publicity funds for the entire competition are around 5 million, with another 20 million used as competition funds, and 10 million used as various expenses for hosting the competition.